Once again, it is a great day. It is a great day. Yes, it's Thursday, and I have a great show for you today. And it's kind of part two from yesterday. I have John Ray Sr. He is part of the NRA, and he is a part of NRA in New Jersey, and he also has a lawsuit. And he's friends with Mark Cheeseman, and it's going to be an exciting show. He's going to talk about gun rights in New Jersey, and he's going to talk about a lot of other issues that is pertinent with Second Amendment rights. And John Ray Jr. is watching. John Ray Sr. So come on, John Ray, are you there? We're going to invite you on, and we're going to invite John Ray Sr. on. He is a great patriot out of New Jersey, and he is. So, John Ray, come on in. Welcome to the On Fire Show. This is the host, John McKell Brooks. How you doing, brother John Ray Sr.?
What's going
How
on?
you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, okay. I am excited to have you on. Yesterday I had the other Mark Cheeseman come on, the great patriot, talked about a lot of the gun rights in New Jersey.
Absolutely.
And yeah, he had told me about you, and then you contacted me and said, "Well, I got to have you on the show." It's like part one, part two about Second Amendment rights,
right?
And NRA gun rights in New Jersey. Tell us a little about yourself, and how'd you get started being a part of the NRA and the Second Amendment groups in New Jersey?
All right. Well, I've been shooting since I was 6. My uncle, who is a 33-year vet, taught me all about gun safety and everything that goes along with it. And by the time I was 12, I was shooting competition. And by the time I was 19, I was serving in the U.S. Army. So I kind of grew up around them. I've had them. When I got out of the service, I was passed down shotguns, rifles. So I had them.
Okay.
But I never really thought about getting it any further than that, because I never shot a handgun other than the service, but shotguns and rifles, long distance shots, shot black powder, even did some reenactment stuff. So, but what happened was there was an incident involving my family, and that would really set things off for me to really start to find out what the deal is in New Jersey. My aunts and uncles, most of them live in Pennsylvania and Tennessee. They always had carry permits. I never thought that it would be that difficult. But diving into it, find out that New Jersey's, doesn't honor the Second Amendment. I didn't know anything about the Heller case or anything. I didn't even know that I needed to have an FID card because the firearms I had were willed to me. They were passed down. So I started doing research and paying attention to what's going on just to get my FID card and get my permit to purchase. During all that time, I linked up with Mark, been to a couple things with him, got to know him pretty well, and I let him know the story that happened in my family, what happened. And most people that I talked to would agree that I had a justifiable need, which is very stupid, that you even need the reason to exercise your rights. If someone said you needed a reason to go to church, everybody would freak out. But for me, as a veteran, and maybe I speak for at least some veterans, we served our country to protect our rights, our freedoms, our liberties against everybody, foreign and domestic. So to be told that I didn't have those rights kind of sucked. I was like, what did I serve for?
Yeah.
But the incident that took place, someone ended up in prison for it. And I had a restraining order, and according to 1354 2-4 F
Mm-hmm.
and I and II. If you have a restraining order, you should be deemed as having a justifiable need.
Yeah.
So, being that I thought I had one, I applied for a carry permit. My chief denied me, and then
What county? What county was this? Or city?
Gloucester County.
Okay. Gloucester.
Yeah, it's the same county Mark lives in. We just live in different towns.
Mm-hmm.
So he was aware I was applying. He applied at the same time. I think I got a postpone letter for my appeal, which it ended up me and him going the same day. Me and Mark ended up at court the same day, December 13th, 2017. Mark went first. I mean, his reason was different than mine, but still a legit reason in my eyes. But the judge denied Mark. Then it was my turn. This is, like I said in the letter that I sent you, this is the point that I really want to get across. This shows how messed up New Jersey really is.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're supposed to have an urgent necessity, previous attack, these different levels of stuff that you need. But so when people actually have them, you expect you to get a permit. If they say you need A, B, and C, and you have A, B, and C, you should get it.
Yeah.
So New Jersey said, this judge, I laid out my case. This judge looked me in the face and told me that I had a vague threat, but the threat would never go away because he's on permanent parole. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So being that he's on permanent parole, he could always have a grudge against me because he's dealing with the stuff that he has to deal with. He can't drink. He can't, if he breaks his probation, he's going back to jail.
Yeah.
So he said that though it's vague, it's always going to be there. But it wasn't good enough.
Mm.
Here's the big kicker. The prosecutor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but this prosecutor in his, I guess, cross-examination and whatnot, actually said, and this is in my transcript from the trial or hearing, he goes, if I was in his shoes, I would apply for a permit too.
Mm-mm-mm.
So he agreed. He understood. The judge knew, and I still got denied. It blew my...
Yeah, but it was the judge. What was your thinking at the time while you was in court when the judge denied you?
Well, there was a moment in, like, he laid out this, like, closing remark that was, like, 8 minutes long. And I actually, at one point, thought I was going to get it because it was leaning that way.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
it took a deep turn when he said, but. He said that though Christie, with Executive Order 180, kind of opened the door a little bit to expand what justifiable need meant, that it didn't open the door far enough to allow him to make his ruling any different. But then again said, you should appeal it because a 3-judge panel might see it differently. So this is when me and Mark, and we already started talking to J Factor, a little bit. So once me and Mark were denied, we got back in contact with Jay, and with his research and knowledge of going through this before for him, we set up a page that would collect donations for us, because I know me personally, I don't know if I could afford it to fight New Jersey. I mean, I probably could get to a certain point, but eventually I just run out of money. So I really wanted to I really wanted to fight New Jersey, but we needed help. So we set up the GoFundMe page. We raised enough money to file our notice of appeal.
Okay. How long did that take?
Well, from the start for me, by the time I did everything I needed to do prior to applying to my chief, which I believe I started in June, but by the time or June or July, by the time I got everything to my chief, it was like the middle of August. He denied me by the middle of September, and then I was denied again by the judge in December. So we only had 45 days to appeal or send our notice of appeal. And we probably did it. Me and Mark were probably a week behind each other, but we did it within the 45 days.
Okay.
So after we sent our brief in, now you got to think we're pro se, but we're getting a little bit of advice from a lawyer, and Jay helped us. But for the most part, we're still pro se. We don't have a lawyer. We don't know all the technicalities to it.
Okay.
So we sent our brief in, and by statute, they should give us leeway on how it looks. Give us, like grandfathered in that they know mistakes would happen, and it might not be fully legit the way it's written, like the format itself.
All right.
So we sent it in. We were pretty confident. But what really happened was they kicked it back. They kicked my brief back, and eventually they kicked Mark's back.
Okay.
And said that 12 things were wrong. But they were really nitpicking. You're talking about the font, how big the text was. Was it 12 point or was it 13 point? Like little things like that. And a couple things I understood that they really wanted in there, like a table of contents. But most of it was bull in my eyes, and we really think that it was a delay. It was a stall tactic, so they can wrap their head around what we were saying.
So, okay, so where's it at now?
So when that happens, the state has a chance to reply, a response brief. Now here's the thing. In a response, we only had 65 pages to issue our brief. The state had 90 pages to basically combat what we said. The state was so arrogant, I guess, or the fact that they really couldn't find anything to fight our argument. They only returned a 10-page argument or a rebuttal or whatever you want to call it, which then gave us 10 days to respond. 10. Then you got to think about
10 days.
Yeah, about writing it, checking it, mailing it. 10 days. So thankfully, we were ahead of the game. We knew it was coming, so we already had something prepared. Me personally, mine has already been sent. Mine's been my return brief to them. They call it the reply brief. It's already, they have it. So now I'm on a waiting hold. I talked to my team manager, or my case manager, sorry, and she told me that it could take 2 to 3 months for my paperwork to get in front of the judges. Now Mark, I believe he just got his brief, his response brief back from the state maybe today. So he's like maybe 2 weeks behind me. But I'm in team 1 at the appellate division, and he's in team 2 at the appellate division. So now it's on a holding pattern.
So tell me, what have this whole ordeal been like for you? I guess the past year and a half.
I can tell you it's been stressful. I'm actually happy I'm going through it. I learned a lot. I met a lot of good people, like-minded people, and it really made me become more of an advocate toward letting people know what's really going on. And even if you don't like guns, you don't have to like them. I'm not going to make anybody want to like them.
Yeah.
But I want them to know truth about them, and and stop with the narrative that some people like to push. It's just like, you know, some people believe in God, some of them people don't, and I'm not going to try to make anybody believe one way or the other. That's your prerogative. So if you don't want to carry or you don't want to own a gun, that's fine with me. But you shouldn't be able to tell me that I can't protect my family. That's my prerogative. As long as I meet the background check, fingerprints, even if they wanted to put I mean, I know some people don't like me saying this, but if they wanted to put a training requirement, an actual class, like I know we have to qualify, you know, show that you know how to shoot it. But like in Tennessee, you actually got to take an 8-hour class. Like, if the class was $100, I could see it. But if it was run by the state, you know, they would charge 500, 600, and then
that's to make some money off.
Yeah, and price people out of using their
price people out.
People out.
We can afford $500.
Yeah, I mean, think about
it's sad.
For me, for the process, you know, your fingerprints, right? Costing the fingerprints, the application, the $50 going to court. Now, granted, when they deny you, they send your $50 back. But you have to, if you wanted to appeal, that's $250 right there. You got to pay for your transcripts, which could be $300. You know, like every motion you file is $50. Like it all adds up, and it's all aimed to prevent people from appealing.
Discourage you.
Yeah, it just costs too much.
Yeah.
So the cost of things is a stressful, you know, how my emotions, but thankfully, me, Mark, Jay, our group, you know, New Jersey's Second Amendment right fighters, and other groups that we're a part of, you know, sending out the links and people really, really helping us out took away some of that stress. But
I definitely can imagine the stress that you went through.
But what really, the other part of the stress level is not just finances. Think about this, like hypothetical, and maybe someone else, like Billy Bob, is going through the same situation I'm going through. And the state denied someone who actually had a reason, had restraining orders, and then you get denied. Now you wait over a year to find out if your appeal, you know, goes through or whatever. But during that time, the guy that you had fear against, or girl, or group of people, decides to or runs into you while you're pumping your gas at Wawa or something, and sticks you up, robs you, shoots you, or kicks in your door at night, whatever the case may be, and you die. That person dies from that.
Yeah.
There's no recourse to sue the state over the fact that they denied you your right, like Carol, who was stabbed to death in her driveway.
Yeah.
Where's her family? Like, what did they do? They can't bring her back, but they didn't do anything for her that I know of.
Yeah. You're definitely right. So in a way, you know, you're a victim, but the state is making you feel like you're a criminal.
Absolutely.
In a way. Yeah.
Because
and that's sad, because, you know, you're the victim, and you only want to protect yourself and your family and your property. And to me, you know, some of these laws, and when I was talking to Mark about, you know, they changed basically this law right to carry, I think it was 1966.
Yeah.
And so these laws are, you know, kind of draconian laws. They don't make sense. And if you look around the country, you look in Florida, look in Tennessee, you know, Alabama, Georgia, you know, people have the right to carry to protect yourself. And you know, and it's a kind of God-given thing to protect yourself and protect your family.
Like,
I see nothing wrong. It is in a way, it's like common sense.
Yeah, like I was stationed in Georgia.
What part?
I was down in Hinesville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So down there, I mean, you could actually, as long as, like, we've seen it because I worked on Operation Guard Force, and there was a main road that came through our post the civilians could use, and it would lead to a range. So we would get people driving up, and their guns would literally be sitting on their front seat. And it was okay. As long as it wasn't tucked between the seats, you know,
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
as long as it was in plain sight and you didn't reach for it, obviously, it was okay. Like the guns down there, people respected them. People like up here, people are afraid. Like if like there's certain areas where, especially in Tennessee, where my uncle's at right now, people always they carry all the time. And no one's afraid of a person carrying a firearm.
Yeah.
But if someone like, if you did it up here, it's so even if you had a permit, right?
Yeah.
People would be freaked out because they're just not used to it.
Yeah. So I wonder why is that? Do you believe the media, the liberal left media, has played a role into the way of thinking, and also our state government?
Oh, well,
yeah.
See, what happened? My opinion, okay, and everybody has one, just like they have.
Go ahead.
You know?
Tell me your opinion.
But the media ties into movies, all right. So, in my opinion, like for silencers, for example, in a movie, it's like, you know, barely hear it, and that's the media picks up on that, and then the liberals pick on that in Congress, and they pass things that they don't even really know, and it all stemmed from a movie. You know, or they show an AR-15 platform type rifle in a movie where it's shooting automatic, right? Knowing that the civilian version of the AR-15 is not an automatic weapon. You know, they don't understand that one bullet per squeeze. Like, they just don't get it. And the media twists it. The politicians pick up on it, and no one does any research. And when you throw out facts to them, they lose their mind. They just don't understand the truth behind stuff. It's like when the old saying was, when something's on the internet, it must be true.
Yeah.
That's how they look at stuff that they found or got from a movie, and next thing you know, they want to put it in real life. So the media is a lot to blame because they twist things. I watched a clip where the video was of a guy shooting a watermelon, and she's like, look what the AR-15 can do to a watermelon. And the guy shoots the watermelon, and the watermelon explodes, but he had a 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
So it's putting this out there that's damage is coming from an AR when it came from a shotgun.
Yeah, you're right.
So they really don't know what they're talking about, and they really should be quiet.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that me and Mark, I'm looking at my notes, Mark, we talked about is the media and the left are training our kids to be irrational, you know, fear of guns, having irrational fear of guns.
Yes.
You know, I remember, you know, I was telling Mark yesterday, you know, I used to go down south and I had a Daisy, and you know, me and my cousins had Daisies. You know, we didn't fear the gun. We enjoyed it. It was something for shooting for sports.
Yeah.
You know, we were like 12, 13 years old. It was like in my uncles and cousins, they all had guns. You know, no one broke inside no one's house because they knew that they had a gun there. You know, you didn't see anybody shooting each other. You know, it was everybody, you know, I remember asking my uncle, I said, listen, I got a Daisy BB gun. Is there any way you can make it go, you know, further or make it stronger? He looked at me and he's like, he wanted to, you know, give me a slap in the mouth. He's like, no, that's what you stick with that. Right. You know?
Well, I
know. Yeah, but they just, to me, they just can't, you know, when they talk about guns down in the South, it's not of a gun fear. It's a gun, you know, it's a
different culture.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Since I started when I was 6 years old, now my dad, he's gone now, but he was, he's not a gun fan. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he had them. But I was being trained by my uncle and my grandfather, and as long as I was doing it the right way, it was better that I knew about it than try to experiment on my own, find something in someone's closet, and accidentally shoot myself or someone else. So
Yeah.
I took that mindset as, after this incident happened in my life with my family, I started going, you know what? I trained young, and I have 4 kids. My oldest is going to be 16, and my youngest is 9. After speaking with my wife, was like, okay, when they're in the double digits age, you know, I'll train them. So one by one, my youngest hasn't yet; she's only 9. But one by one, I train them from basically with no ammo, and then sim ammo to the real thing, then how to take it apart, how to clean it, what each part is. It's not a clip; it's a magazine, people. You know, step by step, going to the range, going from 7 yards to 20, and so forth. And not only that, I have a Constitution, a book that has the Constitution in it, Declaration of Independence in it, and a couple other things, like the Federalist Papers, and they read it. They read it. They don't know every one, but they are getting to a point that, you know, you say something and ask them what amendment that is, they know it. I asked my oldest, I know Mark said it about his daughter when she was in school, about what they're teaching in history and what they're teaching in civics. Well, they don't teach civics at all now. They don't even teach cursive. And this is, I have to say this while I have it on here. My son, my 11-year-old son, he probably goes to the range with me more than the rest of them. And he's a pretty good shot. He won an award at the Junior Police Academy for marksmanship. So he goes quite often, and to be honest, he's a Trump fan. Yeah, and you know what? He made up his own mind too. So I'm happy to say that. The other ones, they could really care less, but he's more vocal on it. So he's in Spanish class, right? And the Spanish teacher is teaching stuff that I really don't agree with. You know what I mean? Like, she's not just teaching Spanish. She starts getting into the wall and immigration and everything else. And he comes home and he tells me about it. And I'm like, well, I don't really agree with that. And if it continues, you just ask, and you can spend the rest of the day in the principal's office at your request, because she should be teaching Spanish, not trying to fill their fill their ears and their minds with knowledge that is her opinion. And I don't agree with that. So one day he got into a debate, and this is funny that he told me this, and this is 100% true. The teacher got into a conversation with him and let the conversation grow, which included other kids, but it was mainly her and him. He asked her a simple question and said, "Do you lock your doors at night?" And she said yes. And she said he responded nicely and said, "But why do you lock your doors?" She said, "So no one comes in that I don't want there while I'm sleeping." And his response was, "Well, that is what the wall is. The wall is you locking your door when you don't want someone that you don't want in your house."
Yeah.
So she had zero reply. She didn't know what to say to him. So what I'm saying is, they are the main teachers, and some of them aren't doing this, but I see it. August, my oldest, tells me about it. Is they're teaching with their opinions, right, and pushing it to the younger generation, and not letting them make their own mind up. They're teaching them their opinions as if it was fact. Yeah. And they like to do it not just with immigration and other things. They do it with guns. So when my kids are running into this conversation along those lines, they know what to say in back. They're not noob to the situation. So
Yeah.
they're knowledgeable enough that they can have a conversation back that basically kills the conversation because they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. You know, John, and I have had discussions about this on other shows where the liberal left are, you know, they're teaching, they're trying to push their agenda on even high school, elementary school kids, colleges, kids going to colleges and not knowing what's really happening. And you have the liberal teachers in college pushing their agenda. And so, you know, this is a true example of what your son has gone through. The liberal left teacher is coming in pushing her agenda on your child.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to know that your son is pushing back.
Yeah,
He's
I
pushing
mean,
back. And it's the thing to do. I mean, you know, you have a son. He decided he supports Trump, so he's pushing back, and that's an awesome thing.
you know, this and the next very conversation that a kid had mentioned, because of this teacher bashing Trump in class. I totally disagree with what's going on there, but he was able to convince this other kid on the immigration side, and the kid said in his return was, I never thought about it that way. Because the teacher was pushing that Trump wanted to keep everyone out of the country, everyone. And my son was responded on, well, no, that's not really true. He wants to keep the bad people out.
Yeah.
If you're good and you want to come here and do good, then come here the right way. And the kid was like, now this, you know, you're talking about 11 and 12-year-olds, said, I never thought about it that way. That's not what I was told.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if they're very impressionable minds, and what I do with my kids, all four of them, even my youngest is 9 years old. She's really smart for being 9. I give them both sides of the argument. I do. I give them both sides of the argument, and I say, now you tell me what you like. They also are taught at a very young age that you don't start no trouble, but if, like, for example, hitting and bullying, you don't do that. But if someone does it to you, you have a right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So
and that's, yeah.
It starts from there. Like, my son, if you hit my son, there might be a moment that he'll go, if you do it again, we have a problem. Or I might tell the teacher the first time. But if you do it again, he's not going to go run in a corner and tell the teacher or find a safe space with a dog. You know, he's going to protect himself. And I told him, I said, listen, dude, if you get suspended from school, and I was honest, and, you know, there's parents out there probably have a fit right now, but I told him, I said, listen, if you get suspended from school for defending yourself, this guy, your dad, is not going to be mad at you. Now, if you started the problem, then we're going to have a problem.
I'm sure a lot of dads right now are just clapping their hands and they're proud of you because you're teaching your son about the law of the land and protecting himself. And most fathers need to do that. You know, I had an uncle that was the same way. I didn't grow up with a father, but I had an uncle say, listen, if someone tried to, harm you, you have to protect yourself. And that's only the natural thing to do. And if you don't protect yourself, that's unnatural. And it seems like the left is trying to say, go run in the corner, go hide, do whatever you can.
Well,
and that's not the way society is it's not the way individuals are, how we are as human beings to protect ourselves.
Now,
and I commend you on that way.
That's a great segue, because New Jersey doesn't technically have a castle doctrine. It's a form of one. I've talked to lawyers about it. I talked to police about it because I had one at my house when somebody tried to throw a rock through my window. But there's a I guess it could be up for debate on how you interpret it. But since there's no real castle doctrine, you're supposed to retreat to the furthest point, and you know, and then you can defend yourself when you're in your home. But when you're outside your home, so inside your home is up for debate. So I don't want to get too much into that. But when you're outside your home, regardless if you're armed with a firearm, a bat, a knife, whatever, so, if you're threatened, you have a duty to retreat. You have to run away unless you're stuck in a corner and you can't. So that's also saying, hey, it's basically like they teach kids in school, if you get hit, run away and go tell the principal. Like, they are training everyone in the state that it's not okay to defend yourself.
Wow.
They want you to flee, you know, and not stand your ground. Now, granted, if I use the stand the ground thing, people get all bent out of shape because what you call stand your ground. But I believe if you are immediately put to a point that you need to defend yourself, you should be able to do that without having the state
to worry you go to jail.
Yeah. Like Mark made a good point, and he was telling the truth. If you have a license or you're in your home and you have a firearm legally and someone does break into your home, there is no civil protection in the state of New Jersey. So if he comes in your house with a weapon and you use your weapon to defend yourself and your family, he's killed or shot or injured severely, his family, him or his family, can sue you. There's no civil protection.
Yeah. And
what's that teaching you? So you be sued and lose everything you have because you protected yourself.
Yeah, and that's wrong. And it's like you're looking at, you know, what type of state are we living in? And this is why a lot of people are leaving New Jersey, because of these laws, these kind of draconian laws, and these laws that just don't make sense. It's like if someone came from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and they stepped in New Jersey, and, you know, they would think, what kind of planet are we living on? You know, this is not a part of America, not my America.
No, I mean,
and it's sad, and it's sad, and it's sad.
Like that goes with I don't want to mess her name up, but Donna Gracie. She eventually, the end of the story, she got pardoned, but she was put on the PTI thing, pre-trial intervention. But this woman, I believe, is a vet. She lives in Florida, has a Florida permit to carry. She's in Pennsylvania for Christmas with family and friends. Pennsylvania honors her home state permit, so she's legal to carry in there. She goes to dinner in New Jersey, not knowing she was going in New Jersey when they left to go to dinner, but on her way back to Pennsylvania, you know, she gets pulled over, which I believe is a legal stop anyway, because they pulled her over for tint, right? And her car is tagged and registered in the state of Florida. So how are you going to enforce a New Jersey vehicle law on a car that's not registered in the state? Now, I know this for a fact because my car was registered in Georgia when I was stationed there, and I would come home on leave in Jersey, and I would have, I had 5% tint all the way around my car.
Yeah.
And I got pulled over, and I was like, "Yo, my car is registered in Georgia." I got they let me go. So, but she was pulled over for tint, and in the process of looking for her driver's license and her registration, the cop supposedly saw the fact that she had a license to carry in her purse. Story goes, he saw it through the window into her purse, and didn't see the gun, saw the permit itself.
Wow.
Which led him to ask her if there's a firearm in the car. which there was. She was arrested, and the story goes on, and eventually pardoned. But this happened like 3 days after Christmas on somebody that was, for all intents and purposes, she is a law-abiding citizen who had a legal purchased firearm and a carry permit, and New Jersey doesn't care.
Well, that's the same thing happened to Shanine Allen.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
The Pennsylvania. Just she's just make the wrong turn and come to New Jersey, and she tells the officer, she has a gun, and they lock her up.
Yeah, she was doing the right thing. Like certain states, you have a duty to inform. By law, you have a duty to inform. Now, New Jersey's not one of them.
Yeah,
but,
it's like you're being honest.
And she got arrested. She was locked up for 45 days.
45 days being honest, and I've talked to her, a few times, about her ordeal. I'm trying to get her to come on the show, but she's locked up 45 days. Was honest. The prosecutor, they're out there trying to prosecute people, and it just doesn't make any sense. And they're trying to prosecute her, and she gets the same thing, and she gets pardoned by Christie. But what type of state is New Jersey? What type of these laws and these prosecutors and these judges? It wonders. Are these prosecutors and judges? Are there? Do they hate the gun, or do they hate the Second Amendment? They hate the Constitution. Do they really hate individuals who believe in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? And here's a judge and prosecutors that supposed to go by the Constitution.
Yes.
Supposed to believe the Constitution.
Like,
something is definitely wrong with this picture in our state of New Jersey. But I want to introduce you again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching or not know who you are, this is John Ray, Sr. He's on the On Fire show. This is your host, Daryl McKell-Brooks. We're talking about he's a member of the NRA. He's a part of Second Amendment groups. He is a veteran, and he's talking about the right to carry and his situation. And I just want to thank you for coming on. And, and I want to thank people for watching. So is there any more information you would like to give about your case and any upcoming events or anything that, the people should look out for?
Well, I don't know the actual tag. I'm sure I can send it to you. Mark might have sent it to you already. But our GoFundMe page, that is the biggest thing right now, because I don't believe we should lose at all in the appellate division. I believe it should be a slam dunk, but this is New Jersey. I don't really trust it. So if we have to appeal, and God forbid, if we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, that could cost $50,000, and that's not even a joke. There's ways around it by filing like your I forget what they call it, but a hardship program to allow you to waive some of those fees. But I just saw someone left a comment. Did he get suspended? If you're referring to my son, no, he did not. And matter of fact, they didn't even no detention or anything. Mark just left a comment. If you're watching, everybody, Mark Cheeseman just posted the link to the GoFundMe page. That page, I'm gonna be honest, everyone, from the people who donated $5 to the Guns for Hire guys who donated more than that, everybody in between, that money is really helping me and Mark do the things that we need to do to fight back. I want to put something out there lastly too. Most time when people fight for their permits and they appeal, they put what they call a prayer of relief. And a prayer of relief is saying, it's giving the court something that you would say, hey, you can remedy this by, say, giving me my permit, right? If we would have put that down with our argument and that was just our prayer of relief, we probably actually would have won this already and maybe even have our permit. But because of how we're going after this and what our prayer of relief is, if we win, it's not just for me and Mark, it's for every law-abiding citizen who lives in this state.
This will open the door.
It will
kick the door wide open.
100%.
Yeah.
A little bit about it. I know Mark might have said it. Our case is the Supreme Court twice said that they cannot issue or deny permits based on a case-by-case basis. Okay? Even though it's pretty long, our brief is pretty long, to sum it down to the bare minimum, we're saying New Jersey even brags in other cases from 1971, 91, 2013, they brag that they issue or deny permits on a case-by-case basis. And really, in the 2008 and in 2009 or 2010, it was reconfirmed as they cited the Heller case, said that they can no longer do that. They can no longer, it's in there, no longer issue permits or deny permits on a case-by-case basis. So either New Jersey is going to have to, get rid of the Sicardi rule and get rid of that standard where they issue these, or I should say deny everyone on a case-by-case basis, or they're going to have to go on record, on paper, on a decision to say, hey, we are not going to follow the Supreme Court ruling. And if they do that, that opens up a wide door for us to appeal on the federal level and destroy New Jersey's gun laws. It is, and this can't happen, and we won't get that far without everyone's help.
Okay.
And that's where I really want to emphasize is everyone, $5, $1, anybody that can help, that's awesome. And if you can't, we understand. But the one thing you can do for free is to share it, share the link, send it to your friends, people who are like-minded, and go from there. Like, I know people who donated who don't own guns because it's a right, and it shouldn't be taken away from you. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for having me on. I want to thank Mark for his continued support. J Factor, has been an incredible help for us. I want to thank everybody from top to bottom.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on the show. And when you told me who you was yesterday, and I just had to have you on the show, and it's been a great understanding, an educational show. It's, for me, and for sure for people that are watching. So I'd like to thank you for coming on, and and just keep on fighting and fighting. You'll get your just due. It'll happen.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep on challenging the system and challenge it, because the system is not going to make it easy for you.
No,
it's definitely not.
I mean,
no.
just if you read the requirements for just file, just the file, most people, if they're not determined and they see the list of what you need to do and how much things cost, most people just give up.
Yeah.
And that's their plan. That really is their plan. Let's make it so burdensome that the average person will stop.
Yeah.
And me and Mark, as long as there's funding there, we are not going to stop, because all our constitutional rights, all of them, we're using our First Amendment right now. All of them are important, and it can't be. They can't cherry pick them and say, okay, you can have your first, you can have your third and fourth and fifth, but we're not going to give you the second. Now, the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law for everyone.
Yeah.
So if one category of a person, aka the law-abiding citizen, they can carry, so should I.
Yeah.
And just to end it, like, it's our right, and New Jersey does, at the moment, does not recognize our right. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for coming on, and just keep me abreast of what's happening, and I'm sure Mark will. And just like to thank you for coming on the show.
Well, I appreciate
And
it.
you're welcome to come on anytime you want to. Just give me a call, or have you and Mark come on. It's been exciting.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Hey, welcome to the On Fire Show. That was John Ray Sr. He is a part of NRA and the Second Amendment groups, and he's out there, fighting for his rights, and like he should. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. And I'll let you know about the RV tour. Hey, hey, Colette, how you doing? Uh, I'd like to thank you all for, watching the show, because, like I always said, I'm going to have individuals that are coming on the show who are very intelligent and who really have some things to say about what's happening in our state and around the country. And, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Once again, I'd let you know about the RV tour. We're pushing I think it's the June 16th. We're still trying to raise money for this RV tour, and we're going all around the inner city areas in New Jersey. We're going to talk about the Constitution. We're going to talk about the Second Amendment, and we're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about immigration rules issues with sanctuary cities. We're going to pass out constitutions, Declaration of Independence. We're going to do a lot of different things. And, it's about educating our people, especially in the communities, in the city areas, about the laws. You should know the laws. The people in the inner city areas and also suburbs should know the law, know the Constitution, know about the Second Amendment, know about the 14th Amendment, know not the First Amendment. Knowing what's happening, educating people to get people from stop being ignorant. And know what's happening in your city, know what's happening in your state, know what laws are being passed. So once again, I hope that you can give to the On Fire Tour, and give to Mark Cheeseman and John Ray, his organization. Give the both. It's all about helping people out, and it's called the On Fire Tour. All you got to go to is, you see the link that I just pushed up, go to the On Fire Tour and give whatever you can. It's about helping each other, and about a commitment, and challenging the system. And definitely, yeah, we got to go to Elizabeth. Yes, definitely, we definitely going to Elizabeth. So is there any questions anybody would like to ask? We got a few minutes to talk about some things, and we can talk about education, we can talk about Trump, we can talk about politics, we can talk about social issues, a lot of different things coming up. I'm going to end the show for at this moment. I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to come back on in 2 minutes, and we're going to have another great show, just talking about issues on education, talks about jobs, talk about our president, talk about a lot of different things. So stay tuned. This is the On Fire Show, and I'll be right back. This is your host, Daryl McKell Brooks, and usually I don't do this, but yeah, I'm going to stay on for another half hour to another hour, but I'm going to end this show and come on with the next segment in 2 or 3 minutes. So please stay tuned. Give me 1 to 2 minutes, and I'll be right back, okay? Thank you all for watching. This is Daryl McKell Brooks, the On Fire Show. God bless.